What's up guys, this is Andrew Live from Quad, and for today's episode, we are digging deep into how GBB guns works and why it is so loved.
Load your weapon!
What's GBB stand for? We all know that there are so many different kinds of systems out there. Obviously, we know there are AEGs, GBBRs, CO2s, HPAs, spring-powered, and there are even air-pumped ones made in Japan. For each category, it actually covers a huge amount of information. So for today's episode, we're taking a closer look at the GBBRs. The abbreviation of GBB stands for gas blowback, and it is the system that allows the users to feel something different, something closer to the real deal. Since we already got AEGs and those do look pretty real, like why do we still need GBBRs, right? Yeah, true that. AEG is this stable platform that really allows the users to enjoy its performance. It's very stable and yet very maneuverable. However, what's so great about GBBRs is that it doesn't just look real. The way it functions is very similar to the real steel counterparts. The movement is similar to a real steel firearm, and there are actually functional recoil caused by the gas blowback mechanism. This way, the players could really enjoy the fun of controlling the gun and yet enjoying reloading, releasing the bolt, troubleshooting, and so on. Since it is not like an AEG that can load 300 plus BBs inside the magazine and also shoot 30 plus BBs in a second, just for my own personal point of view, this makes each shot from a GBB platform much more meaningful and it feels much more satisfying. And do know that there is no way a GBB gun or an airsoft gun can become a real steel firearm.
I think the girls with their nails done.
The most damage that you can do with an airsoft gun would be the moment when you toast it at someone. But please do treat airsoft guns like they were real steel firearms. This means you don't carry those in public or shoot at places where you are not supposed to shoot, and make sure to put those inside a gun case and play at the proper field where you are allowed to shoot. Well, before the test, let's talk about the GBB science and how does a GBB system works. Inside the gun, it is divided into three important sections. This includes the gas container, the front output, and the rear output. First, pull back the slide backwards, which cocks the hammer, and this would also move the loading nozzle forward, which pushes the BB into the hop-up chamber. Then, pulling the trigger disengages the sear, and the hammer slams forward to hit the valve knocker that strikes the gas releasing valve, pushing it forward causes the gas to vibrate. And the gas is rapidly flowed into the loading nozzle, propel the BB out of the barrel. At the same time, the gas pressure also closed the spurt valve in the loading nozzle. This would stop all gas from shooting out of the barrel, in which all gas would pressure backwards. This action would push the bolt or the slide backwards. Eventually, it will reset the hammer, load another fresh BB into the chamber, pull the trigger to repeat the whole process again. As we all know that there are so many different factors that would affect the GBB's performance. I mean, it could be the O-ring, how the smoothness of the slide, the air seals, and the temperature, and so on. So there are so many different reasons. However, today in this episode, we want to talk about the external factors, which troubles a lot of airsofters out there. It's the environmental. Okay, so for the test today that we figured that we'll run it through some extreme temperatures. So which it will be hot, medium, and cold. The hot temperature will be 50 degrees Celsius, medium will be 25 degrees Celsius, and the cold temperature would be 0 degrees Celsius. And for the unlucky pistol that we'll be testing would be this 1911, since it's got a bad reputation for how small the magazine is, and we kind of want to know what happens to the gun. So let's start the test. Round 1 of the test, the room temperature test. Now let's take a look at the temperature. Now it says it's roughly 23 degrees Celsius. Let's double check it again. 25.5, it is 25. Okay, so what we're gonna do exactly the same process like what we did. Pull the magazine out, make sure there's no gas, and weight the magazine. And tear it. Now we're gonna fill the magazine with the gas, and this is the kind of valve that doesn't tell you when it's full, so we kind of have to judge it by hearing it. When we don't hear any flow, that means it's full. See the amount of gas that goes inside. Okay, 3.1. Alright, let's remember that number because this will be the standard that we use throughout the 3 tests specifically for this gun. We want to make sure that it's always the same. The temperature on the gun is right, 27 degrees Celsius. And you might be asking like why we're having this metronome here. It's because the frequency on how you pull the trigger will result differently for the gas efficiency test. So we want to make sure that the tempo is always right, okay? Pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, so on. So let's get the gun loaded. Are you guys ready? Ready. The slide can no longer travel fully or lock to the rear. This is what we call malfunction, and at that time we will stop the counting. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, it's not functioning anymore. It was like 14 rounds. Go. In the first test, at the normal temperature, we saw the 1911 with 3.1 gram of gas could fire 13 rounds. Well, that gave us our baseline for the gun's performance. Round 2 of the test, the cold temperature test. So we got this big monster setup right here. This is the LG portable freezer, and we're gonna set it to 0 degrees Celsius and put our gun inside. But before that, let's do the exact same process, making sure that the amount of gas that goes inside the magazine is always the same. So let's do it again. 3.1, yes. Okay, perfect. Tuck the magazine into the gun, set it inside the freezer. And let's set the alarm for it seems like it has been 45, almost 50 minutes, and on the thermometer it shows it's 0 degrees Celsius. Let's take a look at the gun. Hopefully it's ready. Now with the thermometer, -2, -1. I think it's close enough. Jeez, it's icy cold. I don't think this gun is gonna work. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, it's actually expected. From the second test, at cold temperature, also with 3.1 gram of gas, couldn't even fire 1 shot, which tells us it is barely viable to use in this situation. Okay, round 3 of the test, which is the last test, the high temperature test. So we got this acrylic cave set up, and we got a cap in which we can set the gun in once we got the heater turned on. And this is our heater. Once you turn the heater on, the temperature goes up to 80 degrees Celsius, in which we have this thermometer right here that tells us exactly what temperature it is inside. And when it reaches 50 degrees Celsius, we'll take the gun out and test it out. But before that, again, the same old process. 3.07, that's close enough. Okay. Now here, turn it all the way up. Okay, the heater is on. Okay, here comes the final high temperature test. To be honest with you, we are all really scared because this is something that we don't recommend you doing the test at home. You can take a look at those 2 guys. They are protect it properly. Now let's take a look. Oh, geez, 65. That is actually really hot. You know what? Okay, we're gonna start the test anyways. So, you guys get ready, okay? I think metronome on. You guys ready? Get the gun loaded. Fire in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, stop. So how many rounds was that? And the last round at hot temperature was 3.07 grand of gas. It surprisingly fired 36 rounds, which was almost 270% better than the regular temperature. Well, that tells us, fire the gun when it's hot. From the slow motion, we could see at hot temperature, the gun is operating smoothly, and the slide can firmly lock to the rear over and over again. On the other hand, under the low temperature, the gun did not even complete one full cycle and spells out lots of white vapor from everywhere. The result might just be slightly conventional for lots of airsofters, as we all know that GBB guns perform really bad during cold weathers. However, why is that though? Like, what happens inside the magazine? This is something that we want to find out. Since the magazine is not crystal clear, we just simply can't see what happens inside the magazine. So here's what I'm gonna do. In order to see the phenomena inside, I decided to make a clear gas container which has a pressure meter mounted on the side, and it had a gas injection valve and also gas releasing valve installed. This is the quad gas container. Now let's take a look at the features, okay? So right here we have the gas injection valve. This allows us to charge the gas into the container, and on the side we have the gas releasing valve, which allows us to release the gas. On the right hand side we got this pressure meter. It will tell you exactly what the actual pressure is inside this container. And what's also really cool is this thermometer on the left hand side. We got two channels. One tells you the temperature inside the container, and the other one would be the room temperature. And the most important part is the entire thing is crystal clear, so we get to see exactly what happens inside the gas guns magazine. And we got this fresh can of gas we're gonna just fill right into it. Okay? 3, 2, 1, go! When the liquid gas enters the container, the expansion of the gas drops the temperature. That is because the container was not pressurized. However, when the gas particles compresses from gas state into liquid state, which is in the thermodynamics called adiabatic compression, it does make the temperature rise significantly. And that is how gas works inside the magazine. Okay, seems about it. It seems like the pressure inside it's a very high. Now I'm barely dropping any more liquid gas into it. However, surprisingly, the temperature seems pretty similar to the room temperature. Now I'm gonna stop charging the gas into it. Alright, what we have here, we got this set of tools, and we're gonna simulate how the hammer inside the pistol hitting the gas releasing valve. And let's see the physics throughout this entire process. Okay? Brendan, you ready?
Ready?
Alright, fired in 3, 2, 1, go! From the slow motion, you can see when the valve was released, the gas immediately expanded from liquid state into the gas state and spurred out of the container. It looked like water was boiling, and the temperature did not change as much. Dang. Alright guys, this time let's hit hotter and see what happens. Okay. Brendan, you ready?
Ready?
Fired in 3, 2, 1, go! And when the hammer hits the releasing valve harder or longer this time, you will see the pressure dropped a lot, and the phase conversion got very intensive, which sucked both gas and liquid out of the container. That is why sometimes we see the white vapor when we fired our GBB guns. Okay, round 3 of the test. I will be hitting the gas releasing valve rapidly. That kind of simulates a gun firing full auto, and let's see what happens inside the magazine. Okay. Brandon, you ready?
Ready. 3.
Actually, it's really hard to hit. Maybe I should hit like this. Okay, fired in 3, 2, 1, go. When the valve releases the gas rapidly, this process is called adiabatic expansion, which makes the temperature drop dramatically, and that's why GBB magazines always get super cold after firing many rounds. I guess the pressure is nearly 0. In the next episode, we're gonna test out more cool stuff and build up a quad testing chamber. Stay tuned and see you soon.